This trip would have been so much different if I was restricting my food. I kind of started spiraling. We had like a dance battle and it was good, clean, sober fun. Well, hey, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is exciting. I'm going to be recapping my New York trip with some of my best friends, and I'm decided to do it this way. I'm going to be talking to you but also showing lots of footage that I got, and I'm deciding to do it this way because I'm really bad at like vlogging, like actually vlogging in the moment when I'm doing things, because I'd rather just be present and be in the moment. So I thought it would be nice to do it this way, where I'm kind of talking you through what we do but also showing you clips, and I have some clips where I'm, you know, talking. You'll see. I also didn't want this to be just another trip vlog on YouTube. I wanted it to be a video where I kind of take you through some lessons that I learned on this trip, because it was my first trip with friends since getting sober. It took me a few days to kind of process everything that happened, and I wanted to make sure I processed what happened and wanted to be able to share tips and lessons that I learned from this trip and just make this a video worth your while, you know, not just showing off what we did, but tell you kind of the reality behind it all and how I felt, because I know vacations and trips for people who just stopped drinking or who are sober can be tough, because I mean, vacations and trips are usually defined by alcohol, and that's a big thing that people do. So I hope that this video helps, and I hope it also shows you that you don't need alcohol to enjoy these trips and to enjoy time with friends. So yes, let's jump in. I wrote some things down. Going into this trip, I was a bit nervous, a bit anxious, and I think that really played into how I felt before. I was really anxious for the flight, and I think I'm usually really anxious for the flight, but I was especially anxious for this flight because I think I was also anxious for the trip. So it all just compiled. It's 10:22. I have to leave for the airport at 11:30, so just about an hour, and I've not started packing yet. But luckily I do have a packing list, so it'll be easy. I don't know why I do this to myself, because I already have anxiety about flights and traveling, and being rushed just adds to that. So I really should have done this a while ago, but I'm just going to suck it up and pack real quick. I found some really great ways to calm my flight anxiety, which I guess I'll share with you guys, because there were a few times when I drank before flights just to calm my nerves, like before I even left for the airport. So one big thing since getting sober is like having to deal with all of those feelings and the anxiety without alcohol, like, and not just flight anxiety, but like job interview anxiety, just any little bit of nervousness or stress, you know, you can't numb it with alcohol. So some things that worked for me this time were, one, magnesium. I drank it with some hot water, and it really helped calm me. Maybe it was just a placebo effect, but it really, I thought, helped. And then I bought some lavender essential oils, and I rubbed them on my like wrists and on my neck, and so whenever I felt anxious on the flight, I kind of just sniffed my wrists, and it was really calming. Also, on the Uber there, I listened to a flight meditation. It was like 25 minutes, so it was like the exact ride of my, or the exact length of my Uber ride, and I just like closed my eyes and listened to it. But those were a few things that worked for me. So once I finally got there, the first 2 days were spent at my sister's apartment. She lives in Brooklyn, and I wanted to get there a bit earlier, a few days earlier than my friends got there, because I was meeting up with some people from Steph's Sober Squad, which I was so excited about. I just got back from dinner. Today was a good day. Jess and I worked from a co-working space for the day, and then I just went to dinner with some members of Steph's Sober Squad who come to my meetings. I've known most of these people for over a year, but I've never met them in person. We've only talked through Zoom, but I feel like I know all of them so well, so it was just kind of a surreal moment to like meet a lot of them in person, but it was so fun. Where did you go tonight?
Wait, I was doing my hair.
This is Jessie's bedroom. She has a lot of very cool art. She painted that.
Yeah. I put some mousse in my hair.
Do you want to tell everyone what you did tonight?
Yes, today I went to a exhibition opening at Super Rare Gallery, which is like a digital art gallery in Soho. And it was showcasing only trans artists, and it was so amazing and gay.
I encourage you, if you haven't found those sober connections, don't give up. I promise there are relationships and friendships out there for you. It is a bit harder to go out and find them and to search for them, but once you do, it's well worth it. And if you're needing some connection, you can always join the Steph Sober Squad virtual meetings. I always have the link down below, so yes. And then Friday, like I said, we just worked at my sister's apartment, and then we went to where all of my friends and I were staying. We were staying at my friend Kylie's grandpa's house in Bay Ridge, which is like kind of near Brooklyn. So that's where we were all going to stay for the whole weekend. So Friday we made our way, Jessie and I made our way to Bay Ridge, and there was a beautiful sunset. This was one of my favorite nights of the trip. We got pizza, and then we played Uno. And then Saturday, I woke up and I journaled. One thing that I would recommend for if you're going on any sort of trip that you're anxious for especially, is to try and stick to your healthy habits as much as possible. And when I say healthy habits, I don't mean like exercise and working out. I mean like the habits that you know are good for your mental health. I wanted to make sure that I journaled today because when you're on trips, it's easy to get caught up in what you're doing and not really taking time to reflect. And then I always, after the fact, wish that I had slowed down and been more present. So that's what I'm trying to do on this trip, is just soak in the fact that I'm here and really be present. I journal every single morning when I'm home, and because I'm a routine-oriented person, being on vacation itself just makes me pretty anxious. And so to relieve some of that anxiety, I made sure that I stuck to my journaling because it's a constant that I could do every day. It wasn't like I was taking time away from my friends to journal. And even if you do need to take time away from your friends to do the things that are good for your mental health, don't feel guilty about that. And then on Saturday in the evening, we had plans to go to dinner and a show. The show, I don't even know how to explain it. It was at this place called the Slipper Room. It was a lot of fun, but definitely the whole day, not the whole day, I'd say probably halfway through the day, I started feeling a bit anxious. And especially once we were like at dinner, I felt kind of overwhelmingly anxious just because I was just trying to get used to being in New York and I was in a new place. And then I was also thinking about the night we had ahead, so I knew that we had dinner and a show and maybe even going out afterwards. So I think all the activity kind of overwhelmed me, and there was one point where I kind of had to excuse myself to the bathroom and I kind of calmed myself down, and then I got back to the table, and you know when someone says, like they can tell you're not okay and they say, "Are you okay?" and then you just break down. That's kind of what happened to me. And so I started just having a little anxiety attack, kind of cried a little, but the good news is, I mean, these were my best friends, so they were all very understanding, and I think I just needed to get it out. Like after I cried for like 5 minutes, I was perfectly fine, and we went on with the night, and it was fine. But I think a lot of where my anxiety sometimes stems from is I don't want to be a burden for anyone else, so I'll keep it inside and then it'll just boil over and cause me to be even more anxious. So the lesson learned here is just to tell someone that you're anxious. If you're on a trip with really good friends, know that you are not going to be a burden just by telling them how you feel. And if you're on a trip where you're not with like good friends, maybe you're on a work trip or something, have someone you can call. Just be able to step away and call someone, because sometimes just saying how you're feeling is really helpful. Then we went to the show, which was really fun. Most of my friends were drinking. I wasn't, but I still was like laughing my head off, and it was a good time. And then after the show, at that point, I think it was like 11 or 12, and I think I was just tired, but I knew my friends wanted to go to this bar, so I went with them. But I was just really tired, and I could feel myself kind of, I mean, maybe I was just in my head, but I could feel myself bringing down the energy, and I knew I was tired. So my first choice would have been to just go home and let them have their fun. Like, that would have been totally fine. But the issue was that we were an hour away from where we were staying, so I'd have to Uber an hour by myself, and it was just really expensive. So we just all ended up talking about it and going home, but that's definitely a lesson learned. I always say in my meetings, like when I first got sober, I followed certain tips when I wanted to go out, and one of them was always to have a way out. So either be the driver so that you can leave when you want and tell people like, this is when I'm leaving, and then they have to find their own ride home, or have an Uber home, or just have a way out if you get triggered or you start, you know, just not having fun. And I think that's what I was lacking. And it was a bit harder on this trip, and on trips in general, because, you know, you're not in your space. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe for next time, I would just Uber. I would just pay the money and suck it up, because that's what was worth it for me. But after we all got home, I kind of started spiraling. I was just lying in bed thinking that I ruined the whole night, that I brought everyone down, that I made everyone go home, and that they were all gonna resent me for it. And I know that that wasn't true, but I just started having that, you know, spiral. That's what your anxiety can do to you. And so I just let myself have that. You know, I did that, it was fine. And then I talked about it in my meeting this week. And one thing someone said was, when you give up drinking, it's easy to feel like you're holding your friends back. Like, I felt like I was holding them back from doing the things they want by making them do other things with me or making them go home. But know that when you give up drinking, you are not holding your friends back. They can still do what they want to do. Instead, you're inviting them to grow with you and to do things with you, and the friends that are supposed to be in your life will. And that's kind of what I saw from this trip. You know, we had a couple nights where people were drinking, but it wasn't a drinking centered trip. We did so many other things that I wouldn't have taken the time to do if I was drinking. For example, one of the things that I think I definitely wouldn't have taken the time to do if I was drinking was go to a museum. We went to the Met on Sunday, and it was so beautiful. Just in sobriety in general, I feel like I have a new appreciation for everything, including museums and art and nature. It's literally like I'm looking at it with a different pair of eyes, and so that was really cool to experience. And it's just fun to, you know, when you're on a vacation, schedule time to do things that you wouldn't have normally done. And if you need to do them alone. Go on a walk by yourself. If you want to do one thing but all your friends want to do something else, do that one thing. Schedule time and go do it. And then that night, I just was reminded of how much I love these friends. And like I said, these were my high school friends, so it's different being friends with people who knew you when you were drinking and now you're sober. It's kind of like you have to reintroduce yourself to them, and they have to get to know you. And luckily, these friends have, you know, stayed my friends. And we literally went on my sister's roof of her apartment, and we had like a dance battle, and it was good, clean, sober fun. No one was drinking. It was a great pure moment that meant a lot to me, and a good reminder that you can still have like pure, genuine fun. I was literally about to pee my pants. I was laughing so hard without alcohol. On Monday, we went to Times Square. That was probably the most touristy thing we did. We went there to buy Broadway tickets, and we knew, you know, under the stairs in Times Square you can get half-off tickets, so that's why we went to Times Square. But it was really fun, honestly, just doing something super touristy. So we did that, and then we went to a rooftop, and my friends got some drinks. I had some tacos and a virgin margarita, which the amount of delicious mocktails I had on this trip was great. And then we went to the Broadway show. We saw Chicago. All right, Kylie, where are we going tonight?
We are going to Chicago on Broadway.
We got 6
Really
tickets.
good deal too. Really good deal.
I'll show you the view. We're going right over there. And this is where we were supposed to be going. Right over there. All right, everyone, we're going to Broadway.
Chicago! And all that jazz!
That's all. Good day. I was disappointed to find out that the song Trina Vega sings in Victorious is not a part of the Chicago play. I thought it was, but that's okay. The Broadway show was amazing. It was my first Broadway show, maybe my second, and it was just really good. And then afterwards we went and we got pizza. It was so freeing to just let go of my food rules this trip and just to be in a place where I can do that. I feel like I've made so much progress this past year on my eating and my body image, and in my eating disorder recovery. I just am finally at a place where I feel like I can pretty much eat whatever I want, and it was just so freeing to be able to have my friends say, let's get pizza after the show, and me being able to go and do it. This trip would have been so much different if I was restricting my food and just I would have been thinking about food all the time. I would have been planning my meals for the different restaurants. I would have been looking up the menu beforehand. And honestly, I think experiencing this food freedom was what was the icing on the cake for this trip, because I just went with the flow. You know, when you're not constantly stressing about every single thing you put in your body, you can just go with the flow and be more present. And that is what was the best part of this trip, besides being with my friends. On Tuesday, we worked from my sister's apartment. On Wednesday, we worked, and then I flew home, and that was the whole trip. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you kind of liked the style of it. Have an action plan, have a way out. Just tell your friends, tell someone how you're feeling, if you're feeling anxious, if you need support. Food freedom is worth it. Don't be afraid to go off on your own and do things on your own. Stick to your mental health routine and just have a good time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah.